YouTube and other places. All right, so let's get the link for the live stream. And the link for the live stream is, it's just going to take a couple of seconds. Here it is. Okay. So if you want to visit the live stream on YouTube, you can go ahead and go to that link. All right. So let's start. This over here. Okay. So this is Hacker Frog's After School Python Programming Basics Part 7. So there's only a couple more sessions to go in the Python series, and after the Python series is over, we're going to be starting into some real hacking. So we're going to be learning about web app hacking, and that's probably going to be on, what day is it today? It's Monday today. So that's going to be on Friday. So on Friday, we're going to be starting our web app hacking course, but before that, let's finish off our last couple of Python programming sessions. And today, this workshop is the 7th class for Intro Python Programming. During our last workshop, we learned about a few programming concepts through Python, including the following. So we learned about functions. Functions are defined blocks of code that can be executed multiple times in the same program. So if you can create a function in the program, you can use that code, you can call that function over and over again by using the name of the function with a pair of parentheses and whatever we need to run that function inside the parentheses. Okay. Executing a function is usually referred to as calling a function or a function call. So you'll hear calling a function, function call, you'll hear running a function, you'll hear executing a function. These all mean the same thing. It's running the code inside the function. Thank you very much for following on Twitch, ReesBees. Thank you very much. So in today's workshop, we're going to be learning about the following two topics. We're going to go over very briefly classes and objects, and then we're going to be covering Python dictionaries. So classes and objects, we're going to be talking a little bit about how Python classifies different types of data, different objects, and different classes. And then we'll be talking about a different type of list, which is called a dictionary. It's, well, you'll find out. Okay. All right, so part 1 is objects and classes. So Python is an object-oriented programming language. Sometimes you'll hear these referred to as OOP languages or object languages. Usually they'll just call it object-oriented language. So that means that all pieces of data in Python code are considered objects. So you can say we've got our variables here, my integer, my float, my string. These are all considered objects in Python, but they're also classified into different types of data. So in addition, all objects in Python are separated into different classes. We see that the three variables here are in the integer, float, and string classes, respectively. So we've got our integer, we've got our float, we've got our string. When we use the type function to get what type of objects these are inside of Python, they'll say they're part of a class integer or class float or class string. So an object's class indicates which built-in functions, methods, and variables it has. So if we have our string over here equal to the hacker frogs, we can use the length function on this string to get the number of characters that's inside the string. And we can also use the .upper method here in order to output the string in all uppercase. So we can only do these functions and these methods because this is a string. So these are string-specific functions and methods. Okay, so all objects belong to a class, and an object's class indicates which built-in functions, methods, and variables it has. I think we already talked about that. So here we've executed a function and method on the myString variable. Both the len function and the upper method are unique to the string class. If we change the myString value to an integer, executing either the len function or the upper method would result in an error message. So let's see this for ourselves. So over at onlinepython.com, and as usual, you can access it from this link over here, which I'm providing to everybody. When you load up the page, you're going to see some code that's already there. As usual, you need to highlight all the code already on the page and delete it, and then we can insert our own code here. So we're going to do the myString variable. We're just going to call it could be anything. Let's just make it the hacker frogs. Okay, and then we can print with the length function myString, and we can also print myString dot upper. And this method needs to have a pair of parentheses over here. All right, so sometimes it can get a little bit confusing if we put one function inside of another function, and because we're going to see pairs of parentheses inside of other pairs of parentheses. So just keep in mind that if you're missing some parentheses, then the code isn't going to run. So if we run this code over here, then we get what we see in the slides. We have our length function, which returns the number of characters in the string, and then we also have the upper method, which is going to print out everything in the string in capital letters. But the problem is, because these are string exclusive functions, if we change myString to an integer like this, then if we tried to run this this code over here, it's not going to work because we get an error and it says type error, object of type integer has no length function. So this isn't going to work, and it'll tell you what line is the problem in the code. So this is a very important thing because when we're doing some debugging and trying to figure out what problem is in the program, we always need to take a note as to which line in the code is the problem. And this just illustrates that integers have their own functions and methods and all that other stuff, because each one of these class objects, the integers, the strings, and the floats, they all have different functions and methods that can be used on them. Okay. So we'll talk a little bit about creating new classes. So in Python, you're free to create your own classes. There are the built-in classes like integers, strings, and floats, etc. But if you wanted to, you could create your own classes, and it's actually very useful for programmers to create their own classes when they're trying to make objects that all have the same kind of functions and methods that can be applied to them. So for example, if you're programming a game, you can create a class of objects in Python that are monsters, and each monster is going to have the same type of statistics, and each monster in this case is going to have a bunch of different functions and methods that can be applied to those objects. So programmers often create new classes in their code to give the new class of objects common attributes, methods, and functions. Let's see, Chris in YouTube says ribbit to you as well. We're just doing a class on Python right now. I hope if you want to learn about some Python, you can join in. All right, so how do we create our classes? So first of all, to create a class, we have to use the class keyword, and then we have to give the class a name. To create a class, we begin with the class keyword, then the name of the class, then a colon. The first letter of the class name is capitalized. So this is a naming convention, inside of Python, if you're going to create, when you're referencing classes, you have to capitalize the first letter. So on the next line, we have to indent 4 spaces and then use so when we create a class, we also have to create a function inside of the class, which is going to tell Python how to initialize an object in that class. Then we have to put the double underscore init, double underscore, and then a pair of parentheses, then inside the parentheses, self, then any other attributes the class requires, and then a colon. If this seems like a bit much, don't worry, because we're only skimming past this class creation process. We do not expect you to create your own classes in Python at your current level. And personally, I've never had to create classes in any of my programs, but all of the programs that I create are pretty basic. Okay, so we've got our class student. Let's just say we wanted to create a student class. So we're all students. We're all hacker frogs. We're learning about stuff. And let's make our class student. One important feature of class creation is defining the init function over here. Init function is how we create all the attributes for the object in the class. Specifies the attributes of the class. So, for example, we've got this class of students, this student class rather, and each student is going to have a name and a favorite subject. So the self over here is just something that we need in order to have the class objects function normally. And the other attributes here are things that we can customize. So we've got self.name equals name. This is just how the object can get its own attributes. So we've got our name over here, and each student is also going to have what is called a favorite subject. And then if we were to create an object inside of the student class here, let's just say we created this object called crypto guy. It's a student, and its name is crypto guy, and its favorite subject is cryptography. So let's recreate this just so we can get a little feel for how to create classes, okay? So over here, online Python. So we're going to create a class, and let's call this class HackerFrog. So class HackerFrog, I think this is the syntax we use. Hold on. Yeah, just like this. Okay, class HackerFrog, and the first thing we need to do is we need to use the def underscore init. So this is a function, the init function, to create the object. So the object is going to have a self attribute, and it's going to have a name attribute, and it's going to have a fav subject attribute. Okay. All right, so we need to define some things here. So the first thing we're going to define is self.name equals name. So this is the name attribute for the HackerFrog object over here. The next thing we're going to do is self.fav underscore subject is going to be fav subject. Okay, so we can also give the HackerFrog class some other variables. So let's just make one called hf underscore motto, and this is going to be the motto for the HackerFrogs. And the motto for the HackerFrogs, let's just call this one hip hop and hack. Okay. All right, so we've got a little class over here. Each class object is going to have a name and a favorite subject, and it also has a motto, which is this string over here, hip hop and hack. So let's let's create an object inside the HackerFrog class. So you can create any HackerFrog you want. Let's just call this HackerFrog WebFrog. WebFrog? Yeah, WebFrog. WebFrog is a HackerFrog, and with this following statistics. So it's going to have a name, and it's going to have a favorite subject. So the name is going to be WebFrog, and its favorite the WebFrog's favorite subject is web app hacking. Okay. All right. So after we've done all this, when we print out WebFrog, it's going to tell us that WebFrog is a HackerFrog. So let's print this, run this. So it tells us that it is a HackerFrog object at this memory address. I don't know. I'm not completely too sure why they have to include the memory address, but that's how it is. So everybody, I want you to try creating one of these yourselves. So if you find it a little bit difficult, then what we're going to do is we're going to take this code and then we're going to put it in the GitHub file. So let me just grab the GitHub file real quick. So let's see, session notes, batch 1, Python, user BD got an error. Okay, so if you got an error, let me just grab the session notes real quick, and we're going to edit these. And I'm going to put this down at the bottom. Okay, so let me save this. Okay, so everybody, you can access the code in this file here. And if you scroll down to the bottom of the GitHub page, then there's this code here. So the code over here, you can copy it. Just go over to this button right here and click on it, and then it says copied. Then go back to your online Python, and in the online Python you can highlight all your code and get rid of it, and then paste in the code. Okay, so go ahead and try copying the code and pasting it in, and you could try playing around with this a little bit. So WebFrog doesn't need to be named WebFrog. You could name it anything you like. And what we can do, another thing we can do is we can actually get the WebFrog's attributes. So we can get the name of the WebFrog by printing off webfrog.name. So if we run that, then we get WebFrog. And we can also get its fave subject. So we can do webfrog.fave_subject and then run that. Then we get web app hacking. And we can also get the motto. So if we go over here and we do print webfrog.hf motto and we run that, then it prints out the motto, hip hop and hack. Okay. So if you have any questions about classes and objects, so we actually don't have too much time to cover too much about classes and objects, but I just wanted to include this over here, just so you know that just like integers, strings, and floats, and a bunch of other ones, lists are also objects. Dictionaries are also objects. You can create your own classes of objects in Python as well. But yeah, we need to move on to the next topic, and the next topic is going to be talking about dictionaries in Python. So dictionaries are a different type of list, but you'll learn how they're different. Okay. So one attribute which all classes share is the self attribute, which is used to access the other attributes and methods of the class in the code. So remember that when we did our init function over here to initialize the object, we need to include this self attribute. And this is how we're able to get the different attributes of the class. We have to define self dot something something, and that's how we do it. Okay, so in part 2 we're talking about dictionaries. So dictionaries in Python are similar to other container objects such as lists, except that the data stored in dictionaries are pairs of keys and values as opposed to individual items. So dictionaries, like I said, they operate a lot like lists, but it kind of works like a real life dictionary, because first you have the key, which is the word, and then the information about that word, which is the value. So if we've got a dictionary over here called country capitals, there's the country and then the capital city. We've got England and London and Canada and Ottawa. So if you can think of something else that we can create as a dictionary, let us know in the chat. But otherwise, let's try recreating this. So over in online Python, Final Fantasy, is that 14? Anyways, we can play that for free if we really wanted to. Okay, so we're going to call this country capitals, and this is going to be equal to a dictionary. In Python, dictionaries are defined by these squiggly brackets right here. So if a variable is equal to a squiggly bracket, then we know it's a dictionary. So we're going to do a couple of different entries in this dictionary. So we're going to do a string and then a string, but each one of these strings is going to have a colon and another string. This is how we define dictionaries. It's key on one side, and then a colon, and then a value. And if there's more than one, we have to separate them all by these commas right here. So country capitals, we've got America. And what's the capital of America? Can somebody tell me? Washington, D.C. That's correct. User D has it correct. Washington, D, period, C, period. Okay. And what about, I didn't spell that correctly. Washington. Okay. All right. And let's say another country. Let's say we're looking at Japan. Does anybody know the capital of Japan? It's also the country. It's also the city that you probably know. It's the biggest one. Okay, users B, D, and D also, they have it correct. It is Tokyo. Tokyo, Japan is the capital. We've got our country and we've got our capital. So it's key colon value, and then the second object key colon value. So Japan is the key, Tokyo is the value. All right, so let's move on. So dictionaries can be identified by a pair of curly braces within which are pairs of keys and values. Each pair is separated by commas. The key and the value are themselves separated by a colon. So if we have, let's try creating another little dictionary. So over in online Python, so keys don't necessarily have to, everything doesn't necessarily have to be a string. So these are all strings. We know they're strings because they're between these single quotes or double quotes. But let's see. Let's do number and symbols. Numbers and symbols, or numbers and what is it called? When a number can number and meaning. Okay, so we've got a couple of can anybody give us some some numbers that mean specific things. So for one example is the number 7 is considered lucky, and if you've got other numbers that that you think mean something different, let us know in the chat and we'll try to include them in this dictionary here. So number meaning, for example, 7, that means lucky. And maybe 1337, that equals elite. And okay, so BD says that 2 means duality. Okay, so 2 equals duality. And what else? Oh, the number 8. Oh, the number 4 in some cultures, that means death. Does anybody know any other ones? But anyways, what we can do, if you wanted to print out a dictionary, you can print it out like any other object. So you just print and then the name of the object over here. And if you run this, it'll print out like this. So 7, 13, 37, 2, 4, and these and the associated values over here. Okay? So dictionaries can also be initialized in the format above, which is easier to read. Okay, so we've got our country capitals. We can also format them like this, which makes it a little bit easier. Let's do one more dictionary, just for fun. So another dictionary we can do is vital stats. And let's just say it is web frog. So let's just say that we've got a student who is the web frog, and we want to get their vital stats. And we're going to make this into a dictionary. So we could do, actually, we're going to do it like this. So we're going to initialize these vital stats in the other format, which was shown over here. And you can actually do vital stats for whatever character you like. And we're going to do something like height. And we're going to do height. And the height is going to be, let's just say 6. Oh no, this gets a little bit messy. 6 foot 5 inches. Oh no, that looks weird too. Okay, 6 foot 5 inches, and we will do weight. And I don't even know what this person is supposed to weigh. Let's just say that they weigh. Oh no, this doesn't work. This has to be a string. So these all have to be strings. Okay. So weight, let's just say that they weigh 200 pounds. And we're going to say their age. Let's just say they're 25. And what's one more thing we can do? How about favorite hacker subject? And that'll be web app hacking. There you go. Okay. So everybody, let's try this. So it's going to be something vital stats. It doesn't need to be WebFrog. It could be any character you like. And then we'll give them a height, a weight, an age, and a favorite hacker subject. Well, it doesn't need to be a favorite hacker subject. It can be anything. But I think afterwards, try. So here's the thing. We have to pay attention to a few different things as far as syntax is concerned. So each one of these pair values, if it's you have to make it a string. So each one of these keys has to be a string, and if you want to, you need to separate them. You need to separate the key and the value with this colon. And between each one of these objects, you have to put one of these commas. So if you're able to get to write up something like this and then print it off, print out webfrog vital stats, and then run it like this. If you're able to get this to run successfully, please type in the chat, I dictionaried. Smiley face. Remember, if you're having problems, if you're getting errors, what you need to do is each one of these keys has to be a string. The key and the value has to be separated by this colon over here. And each one of these objects has to be separated by a comma. So there should be, if you're doing 4 objects, 4 entries, you need 4 commas. Okay, so, and as usual, if you're having a problem, please let us know what kind of error that you're seeing in Python, and we'll try to help you out and fix up your code. All right, let's move on. So iterating over dictionary. So you're not able, if you wanted to print out each item in a dictionary, you have to do it in a very specific way. Items in a dictionary can be iterated over using a for loop, but we must use the items method, which renders the dictionary into a list with tuples as the content, which hold the key value pairs. So if this all sounds a little bit confusing, don't worry. Just know that if you wanted to print out each item in the dictionary one by one, then you would have to use this items method over here. It's a special method just for dictionaries, and this is going to turn the dictionary into a different type of thing that can be printed out. So if we wanted to print out each one of these things one by one, we need to do this kind of format. For ij in country capital dot items, this method right here, print that thing, and then it prints out. So for example, if we wanted to go over here and we wanted to do for ij, so ij stands for this key, and then j stands for the value. So for ij in webfrog vital stats, whoops, it's not webfrog vital stats, it's webfrog vital stats dot item. Is it dot item or dot items? Let me take a look again. Dot items with an S. Okay, print I and j. So I and j don't necessarily need to be I and j. DG, user DG has dictionary. Great to see. Thank you very much. So I and j could be, you could rename these to key and value as well. It doesn't need to be ij. It just needs to be, you just need to keep it the same when you're doing this. Oh, that's not how you print either. You need to print with these parentheses. Okay, so for key value in webfrog vital stats dot items, print the key and the value. If you run this, then it's going to print out properly. But if you were to just use for key, or so for I in this thing, print the thing, then it's only going to print out the keys. So it'll only print out the height, weight, age, and it won't include the value on the other side. Okay, so So how do we add keys and values? We're going to talk a little bit about this. To add keys to the existing dictionary, we're going to simply define the dictionary's index with the name of the key, then supply the value on the other side of the equal sign as shown above. So this is a little bit more interesting. We've got our friend and the city that they live in. So this is a dictionary of friends and the city they live in. For example, we've got Carl, who lives in Toronto, Rachel, who lives in New York, but we want to add a friend. So we're going to add Bobby with the value of Texas. So Bobby is the key and Texas is the value. If we were to print out this dictionary now, we've got Carl, Toronto, Rachel, New York, and Bobby, Texas. Okay, so let's try this. Let's get rid of everything. And friend underscore city. And this is a dictionary, and we're going to do... So can you give us some friend... Can the people in the call provide us with some friends and some cities? So the name of a friend and what city they live in. You can supply more than one, it's fine. So let's get this rolling. Let's just say we've got John, and they live in, let's say they live in Seattle. Okay, we've got a combination of Princess, who lives in Houston. Okay, and maybe we can get one more. So John lives in Seattle, Princess lives in Houston, and maybe let's say Juan, who lives in Spain. There we go. Okay, and now what we want to do is we want to add somebody. So we're going to add somebody to the friend city dictionary. So we're going to do friend underscore city. And we're going to provide an index. And the index is going to be for, let's say, Joanna. And Joanna is going to live in... what's the city? Oh, Spain isn't a city. Jeez. I'm sorry. It should be Madrid. And Joanna is going to live in... what's the famous city? Paris. There you go. All right. So if we print... Now I need to take a drink. Hold on. Too much talking. Too much talking. Okay. So if we were to print out this this dictionary, print friend city, and we run this. Oh, nothing. Wait, nothing appears? That's weird. Friend city, we've got the dictionary here. We added something. Then we printed this. Why does it come out blank? Oh, that's the weird little error. Okay. So everything came out. Great. All right. Whoops. So everybody, I want you to give this a try. So create your friend city dictionary here. And then try adding a friend with this method right over here. And then print out your friend city dictionary. If you get it to print out with all of the friends over here, then please type in the chat, I added a friend. Smiley face. Okay, user D has added a friend. Great to see, great to see. All right, so Nicole Cupper has just subscribed on YouTube. Thank you very much. Welcome to the Hacker Frogs. Okay, so let's move on. So just as we can add keys and values, we can also remove them. So to remove entries from a dictionary, there are two ways. The first way is to use the del keyword along with the dictionary key as the index name. So if we wanted to delete Carl from this friend city dictionary here, we would just use the del keyword and then the name of the dictionary and then the index that we want to delete. So it's very easy. Over here, we would do del and then friend underscore city and then the name of the key. So let's delete John. So if we delete this index over here, then it's removed from the dictionary. And when we print the dictionary, user DG has also added a friend. Great to see. Thank you very much. So if we run this, then we see that John is no longer in the dictionary here. Okay? All right, so the second way to remove entries from dictionary is the pop dictionary method, and we supply the name of the dictionary, then the dot, and then pop, and a pair of parentheses. And inside the parentheses, we supply the name of the key that we want to get rid of. So in this case, we supply Rachel, but in this case, we can also use friend dot pop, and we're going to pop. I guess pop seems a bit. The sound of it seems a bit extreme, but let's just say, instead of deleting with the del method, we pop John. Popping, yeah. Well, I don't want to make it sound like John is some sort of balloon that gets popped, but if we run it like this. Also, BD has also added a friend. Thank you very much. Oh, the name friend is not designed. Oops. This should be friend underscore city. Okay. So friend city dot pop, and then inside the parentheses, we give the string John. So let's run this. And then Princess, Houston, Juan, Madrid, Joanne, Paris, and John is no longer here. All right, so I want you to give, try deleting one of the entries from the friend city dictionary here. It doesn't matter if you're using the pop method or if you're using the del keyword. So one more time, if you want to use the del keyword, it's del friend underscore city, and inside the square brackets, the name of. So one other thing I want to point out is that you can comment out. You can leave comments in the code, and you can do so with the hashtag here. So if you hashtag a line of code, that means it turns into a comment, and anything inside the comment over here is not going to be run by the Python program. So you can actually do this if you want to omit lines of code. So if you comment out this over here, whoops, I don't want to comment this one out. If you comment out these lines of code over here, that means they're not going to be run. So everything after the hashtag is not going to be run by the program. So if we run this, we're going to see that Joanna is not going to be added to the list, and John is not going to be deleted here, but he is going to be deleted here. And when we run the code again, we only have two friends, Princess and Juan. Okay. So everybody, you don't need to demonstrate to me that you know how to delete your friends, because that's kind of sad, but this is the way we do it. Okay. Oh, no problem. No problem. We don't delete anybody we don't need to. Okay. So another thing we have to understand is that dictionary keys cannot be changed. They can be created and they can be deleted, but they cannot be modified. So the names of keys cannot be changed after they've been created. Once the keys, only the key's value can be changed. I'm sorry, I've got a little typo in here. So we can change the value. So what we can do is so in here, let me uncomment these. Okay, well, if for some reason John were to move somewhere else, we could change the value of John in the dictionary. So we could do friend underscore city John, and we could change his city to, let's say he moved to Los Angeles. That's how you spell it, right? Okay. And then if we were to print this, if we were to print the dictionary now, then John's value would change from Seattle to Los Angeles. But we can't change the key John or princess or Juan. We can only delete them and we can add them, but we can't change the key from John to something else. So let's answer a couple of questions about dictionaries, and then we're going to solve a picoctf challenge to finish off today's lesson, okay? So which of the following statements about Python dictionaries is true? So A, a dictionary is a mutable ordered collection of items. B, a dictionary can have duplicate keys. C, dictionary keys must be immutable and unique. And D, dictionary values must be unique. So everything you've heard about dictionaries, which one of these do you think is true? The rest of these are false. Okay, we've got some answers coming in. Okay, we've got some answers. One person says A. Okay, so the answer here is that C, dictionary keys must be immutable and unique. So dictionary keys, you can't have the same key in a dictionary more than once. So if you put John in your dictionary, you can't put John again in the dictionary. But if you had another type of object in Python, like a list, you could have the same object multiple times in the list. Okay, so one more question about dictionaries. Which of the following methods could be used to delete a key value pair from the dictionary? Is it A, the del keyword, B, the pop method, C, A and B, or D, none of the above? Let's see. Comfini from Twitch says, "Hey, what game is this?" This isn't a game. We're learning about coding right now. So we're just learning about some Python language, and we're going to be finishing out our Python lesson in about 5 minutes or so, and then we're going to be doing some hacking. Can you explain that again? I'm in Intro to CS. Oh, you're a computer science student. Interesting. But which of the following methods could be used to delete a key value pair from the dictionary? We've got A, the del keyword, B, the pop method, C, A and B, or D, none of the above. So the answer is A and B. So remember we talked about how the del keyword and the pop method can be used to delete things from the dictionary. Okay, so we were also talking about dictionaries. Dictionary keys are immutable and unique, meaning that if you got a key in the dictionary, it cannot be duplicated and it cannot be changed. and that's what we're talking about. All right, so everybody, let's do a little exercise over at Python, at picoctf. And in picoctf, what I want you to do is I want you to log in over here. Thank you very much for following Comfy. Okay. What are dictionary keys? So we spent today's lesson talking about dictionary keys, and dictionaries are these kind of objects in Python where they're kind of like lists, only they're pairs of values. So you've got a key and then a value. So in this case, we've got our friends and the city they live in. John lives in Seattle. Princess lives in Houston. Juan equals Madrid, for example. Comfy asks, if I give you my IP, can you find me? I've never tried. I've never tried before. I could probably find what city that you live in, but finding out your exact neighborhood, I'm not completely sure about that. All right. So everybody inside of picoctf, please go to your web shell. Comfy says Juan can live somewhere else too. Well, they could live somewhere else. Yeah. Let's see. User BD asks, wait, how can you do that? I'll illustrate very quickly here. Let's see. Find my IP. There's a bunch of websites just like this where you can get an IP address. So, my IP address is over here, and I live near Vancouver. So this IP address over here is associated with certain areas. So if whatever service that you get your IP address from, they're going to give you an IP address, and it's going to be associated with a certain city. I live in Canada. I've mentioned this a few times that I live in Canada. I live near Vancouver, Canada. That's not a secret. But any more than that, I think might be telling too much. Churrasquinho 69 has just followed on Twitch. Thank you very much. All right, so let's get to our exercise before we run out of time today, okay? So everybody, go ahead and log into your web shell, and the web shell you're gonna want to make it nice and big, just like this. I hope you know how to do that. If not, let us know in chat, and I'll try to walk you through it. Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cover the Serpentine challenge. Oh, PK also lives in Canada. That's great. That's great to hear. All right, so let's do the Serpentine challenge. Ooh. All difficulties in all categories, Serpentine over here. So go ahead and navigate to this page over here. Okay, Comfy asks, can I come by for in-person lessons? I do online lessons because I like to teach a lot of people at once from different places. Please don't try to get in-person lessons from me. All right, so Serpentine over here. Let's solve this challenge. So the challenge description says, find the flag in the Python script. And there's this link over here to download the script. What you need to do is you need to right-click on it and select Copy Link, and then go over to the web shell. In the web shell, we're going to download it with wget. So just type in wget space, and then right-click, select Paste, and then that's going to paste in the file address, hit Enter, and that's going to download the file. You'll know that you have the file when you type ls and then enter, and then you see serpentine.py in your directory list over here. Okay? So does anybody know how we would run this file? So we've got this file, serpentine.py. How do we run this file? what command should we give on the console here? Okay, user BD says we use Python. Yeah, so we just type in Python and then space and then the name of the file. Remember, you can just begin typing in the name of the file, then hit tab for autocomplete, and then hit enter. Okay, so it says, welcome to the Serpentine Encourager. So there's A, print encouragement, B, print flag, and C, quit. So everybody, have we done this challenge before? If you've done this challenge before, if this looks familiar, please type I've seen it in the chat. Oh, okay. So we have done this before. Does anybody remember how we solved this challenge? So we're just going to try to print the flag. And it says, oops, I must have misplaced the print flag function. Check my source code. We put the stuff in nano. Oh, right. Okay, so we have solved this challenge before. Okay. Copy pasted the flag. Yeah, we did that. Okay, sorry, I forgot. I have bad memory. So we did do this challenge before. Okay. So unfortunately, we've run out of time today, but let me grab one challenge that you could try to do offline or after the class is over, just so you have something to try for. Let's do PW crack. We've got PW crack 2. Have we done this one before? I kind of feel like we have done this one before. Let me... Okay. Actually, you know what? Have we done number 3? Okay, so PW crack. All right. So what I want you to do is I want you to try to solve this challenge. We're not going to solve it in today's session because we've run out of time for today, but I want you to try solving it on your own. But let's do a summary of today's lesson and then we'll stop for the day, okay? All right, so first of all, classes and objects. Python is an object-oriented programming language, and as such, all data in Python code are considered objects. All objects belong to a class, and an object's class indicates which built-in functions, methods, and variables it has. We also learned about dictionaries. Dictionaries in Python are similar to other container objects such as lists, except that the data stored in dictionaries are pairs of keys and values as opposed to individual items. Dictionaries are useful for recording different key-value pairs that all pertain to one subject or one common value across a number of subjects. Okay, so what's next? In the next Hacker Frogs After School Python Programming Basics session, we're going to wrap up our time with Python by writing scripts to solve CTF challenges. So what we're going to do is we're going to learn about how to write Python scripts to help us solve challenges. So we're going to be using Python to do some to solve some what was it? What is the word? To actually work for us to solve challenges. Anyways, so for everybody in the Zoom call, we'll be wrapping up the session shortly. But for everybody in the live stream, we're going to be taking a little bit of a break, maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and then we'll come back and we'll do some live hacking until the next Hacker Frogs class, which is happening in about an hour or so. So everybody in the live chat, we'll be back in a couple of minutes.